Hello and welcome to South Asia Today, a show that provides you the glimpses of South Asia. I'm your host, Shivangi Mishra. Let's begin with the headlines first. China drags Pakistan deeper into debt trap. Students from Gilgit-Baltistan face discrimination at universities in Pakistan. And people in India celebrate Holi with fervour. Let's begin the show. At a time when Pakistan's economy is on the verge of collapse under a huge mountain of debt, China approved a $700 million credit facility for the insolvent nation. China's age-old practice of debt trap diplomacy has already alerted nations across the world. And now, Islamabad will likely to be cognizant of the dangers of becoming increasingly dependent on Chinese loans. Let's take a closer look at China's predatory lending practices and the significance and ramifications of Pakistan's Chinese debt.
With the Pakistani rupee depreciating, fuel prices skyrocketing, and taxes on luxury goods rising, Pakistan has long been sliding into a severe economic crisis. The Islamic Republic is doing everything in its power to access the next installment of the IMF's $6.5 billion loan facility. However, several analysts opine that a bailout from the IMF is not sufficient to restart the country's economy. Even if the country can procure the next installment, Pakistan still has a long and challenging journey ahead. While Pakistan attempts to secure help from the IMF, China extended a $700 million loan to Pakistan. The news of the loan from the state-owned China Development Bank broke only a day after Pakistan's National Assembly unanimously passed a bill to increase tax revenues. Islamabad's debt to Beijing will now rise, placing the country in a more precarious and compromised position than ever before. Speaking of the loan, former Pakistani central bank deputy governor was eager to downplay any risks. He said to Reuters that the fact that new money is being committed to Pakistan and old loans are being rolled over despite this is a sign that the global community is committed to helping Pakistan meet its external challenges. Critics, however, claim that instead of working with other countries to help distressed borrowers, China is attempting to prioritize its own interests. China is now the world's largest sovereign creditor. Beijing's practices are challenging the conventional approach to sovereign defaults. The possibility that Chinese loans to Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and other countries in India's immediate neighborhood could be used as leverage has deeply concerned the United States. U.S. State Department Counselor Derek Chollet stated that we have been very clear about our concerns, not just here in Pakistan, but elsewhere all around the world, about Chinese debt or debt owed to China.
United States of America, as of now, I haven't seen a very proactive approach in order to counter this Chinese debt diplomacy. US, as of now, because of certain factors, may not be positioned to do it alone. There is a requirement for other countries, like countries from Europe, country like India. They have to come together in order to look the way the China is trying to shape the international relation as of now.
Money lent from China has many strings attached. Firstly, Beijing lends at higher interest rates than those charged by the IMF and the World Bank. Secondly, the system does not follow the standard lending-borrowing procedure, which only magnifies the risk of the borrower in failing to return the amount. When the borrower defaults, it is then that China's tried and true debt diplomacy comes into play. For example, this new Chinese loan to Pakistan comes after China demanded repayment of $55.6 million for the Lahore Orange Line project by November 2023. Spiraling deeper into the Chinese trap, Pakistan appears to be blindly following Sri Lanka's path to its worst financial crisis in decades.
Pakistan is yet to realize that it is getting entrapped in these very economic claws of China, the same path on which Sri Lanka has got devastated. Until unless Pakistan doesn't realize the web that he's entering, the day is not far when Pakistan too will collapse like Sri Lanka did because of the Chinese debt.
China has given billions of dollars in the form of concessional loans to developing nations, mostly for large-scale infrastructure projects. When these countries struggle to make the payments, Beijing is able to demand benefits or concessions in exchange for debt relief. For example, Sri Lanka was compelled to cede control of the Hambantota port project to China for 99 years because of its sizable debt to Beijing. This gave China control over a crucial port and a strategic foothold along with critical waterway for trade and military transportation. As we have seen in South Asia, China is steadily increasing its foothold over Africa as well. Chinese foreign direct investment in Africa has also been rapidly expanding, and many critics are expressing their concerns over accepting Chinese loans. Angola, for example, received billions in Chinese loans. The Angola model was premised on oil-backed loans to access Chinese funding for the building of roads, hydroelectric dams, and railways, as well as other infrastructure projects. However, today, Angola is experiencing severe economic issues as a result of this Chinese investment. Angola still owes China more than 23 billion USD, mostly from these oil-backed loans. With declining production, most of Angola's output is going to China, preventing Africa's second-largest oil producer from selling its major source of income on the open market. The Angola model should serve as a cautionary tale for the rest of Africa and for nations across the world. China, of course, has rejected the Africa debt trap claim, and many countries still appear eager to accept Chinese funds.
Moving on. Nepal celebrates a number of festivals and events throughout the year which are a true manifestation of its rich culture and traditions. Recently, BVS Utsav or Carnival was organized in capital Kathmandu to help students learn more about the cultural diversity in the country. Have a look.
A fair in Nepal helps students to learn more about culture and traditions. Recently, the BVS Utsav or Carnival organized had the theme showcasing the cultural diversity of the country. Debang Bharal, a student in the 6th standard who didn't know anything about Lakhe, the demon deity who lives in the alleys of Kathmandu Valley and comes out on the street occasionally. It was on social media that Debang got to know about the demon deity and chose to get a costume like that of deity and decided to perform a dance at the school.
It was very good to be a Lakhe, and it was very hard to learn the dance, and I felt very proud to be a Lakhe.
The demon deity, the legendary Lakhe, is one of the cultural symbols of Newa, the aboriginals of the Kathmandu Valley. The flamboyant mask dance performance by the demon deity is jubilant to watch during Newari festivals, especially in the Indra Jatra. Legend has it that the first Malla king brought goddess Taliju Bhavani to Kathmandu, where it is enshrined. Lakhe, not finding his patron goddess Taliju, followed the footprints of the Malla king and arrived in Nepal from the south. Later, goddess Taliju appeared as living goddess Kumari, and Lakhe continued to walk the chariots of Kumari in this great festival. It is only the month of September when the masked dancers appointed as Lakhe after vigorous rituals and selections come out on the street.
I got Lakhe from social media. I didn't know what was Lakhe. From social media, I saw Lakhe and I wanted to be a Lakhe too. And I requested sir to be a Lakhe, and I learned the dance and I danced today.
After undergoing practice for 2-3 days, Bharal was able to perform in front of hundreds of fellow schoolmates and guardians in a show organized at the Brihaspati Vidya Sadan. Now Debang knows about Lakhe and has been spreading words about the demon deity among his classmates. Lakhe dance is divided into 4 different depictions, that is snake, frog, eagle and tiger. Saber-toothed Lakhe pounces in the free-flowing, well-coordinated dance movements. To incorporate the diversity and let students explore more about the existing diversity, participants and attendees were asked to be present in traditional attire.
Being a Nepali and being in this part of the world, we definitely have very valuable tradition, culture in our history. And as a school, I think it is also our responsibility to get our students, our families connected to the roots. And one way to do it is to bring in these cultural, traditional programs in school.
Students from various standards performed dances, sang in chorus and played traditional musical instruments during the 4-hour event.
Now we take a look at some happenings in Asia in a segment called Asia Watch.
Craftsmen in Mosul's Al Quazin neighborhood spend hours creating a special clay paste to make ovens, which they say date back thousands of years. The clay ovens known as tanur are used to bake traditional bread, and in which many in Iraq still use to cook popular dishes such as meat and fish. Craftsmen and bakers say, while steel ovens operated by fuel are more widespread, their clients still prefer clay ovens that give the bread a special taste. Khalid Al-Quaz, a 50-year-old craftsman, says he has been working in this job for decades and inherited it from his father and grandfather. He usually makes 3 or 4 ovens per day in his workshop at Mosul's old city, and sometimes more if he has bigger orders. In a local bakery, bakers make the popular tandoor bread in the clay oven. Bakers say one clay oven would typically last for 2 years at most, but demand on bread baked in such ovens has been always high. South Koreans held a candlelight vigil in Seoul to protest the government's proposal to resolve the forced labor dispute with Japan. Hundreds of people gathered in front of Seoul City Hall and held up candles and banners reading "Shameful Diplomacy." South Korea said on Monday that its companies would compensate people forced to work under Japan's 1910 to 1945 occupation, seeking to end a dispute that has undercut US-led efforts to present a unified front against China and North Korea. The proposal was welcomed in Tokyo but faced an immediate backlash from some victims and South Korea's main opposition party, who accused the government of capitulating to Japan. US President Joe Biden, whose administration has pressed its 2 allies to reconcile, hailed the announcement as groundbreaking. Under the plan, South Korea would compensate former forced laborers through an existing public foundation funded by private sector companies. The Washoku World Championship was recently held in Tokyo. This was the 10th edition of the event, which aims to take Japanese cuisine to new heights. A total of 139 chefs applied for the competition, of which 6 cleared the preliminary rounds and progressed towards the finals. The Washoku World Challenge was organized with the support of Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries of Japan in order to promote Japanese cuisine and take it to foreign countries. The theme of this year's competition was dashi, which literally translates to broth. Dashi or broth is an important component to enhance the flavor of Japanese dishes. For the final competition, contestants have prepared 5 serving appetizers that are to be cooked using traditional Japanese 8-inch plates. The cooking time is 120 minutes. The judges examined the taste of dashi along with the presentation of the dishes. The winner is Jakub Horak from the Czech Republic. The appetizer he cooked was highly praised for its balance, time distribution for cooking, and the idea to use Czech ingredients. After returning to their homelands, these chefs will introduce Washoku to their homelands, which will help spread the glory of Japanese cuisine. Japanese global motorbike giant Yamaha Motors is trying to be inclusive in its employment procedures. 90% of Yamaha's annual sales come from foreign countries. Yamaha tries to hire employees from different nations and genders in its firm. Yamaha Motor Mirai is the name of the entire company. The word Mirai means future. Yamaha also aims to employ the especially abled and thus help in creating a better society. There are 3 types of work for the staff. Mutual communication between staff and his leader cultivated a trusting relationship. The business support group works on common office work. The PC reuse group cleans old computers used by the Yamaha motor and sells them to the market. Staff cleans old computers and replaces a data disk containing personal information on a new one. The Japanese motorbike giant is transforming into a new global giant with diversified employment as one of its features.
Gilgit-Baltistan, under the illegal occupation of Pakistan, is suffering at all fronts. Education is one of them. Students who manage to reach Pakistan in search of better education are receiving no support and they continue to face discrimination. The universities in Peshawar and other cities are not providing them scholarships and denying them any reservation. We have a report.
The illegally occupied territory of Gilgit-Baltistan has been plagued with several issues for more than 70 years. Health, education, infrastructure. The residents are suffering at all fronts under Pakistan's misrule. Education is a basic need for human development in any welfare state, but the illegally occupied territory has been kept deprived of this basic need also. A few ambitious students from Gilgit-Baltistan who somehow reached universities of Pakistan for graduation are being treated as second-class citizens there. They complain that even after acquiring promising grades in academics, universities in Peshawar have no seats for these students from Gilgit-Baltistan region.
वहाँ से जहाँ पे जब जीबी के स्टूडेंट पहुँच जाते हो सबसे पहले जो इशू होता है वो हॉस्टल्स का होता है जहाँ जीबी के स्टूडेंट के लिए बाकी जितने भी स्टूडेंट यहाँ पे हैं मतलब मुख्तलिफ प्रोविंसेस के उनको स्पेशल हॉस्टल के अंदर सीट दिया जाता है और जीबी के जो स्टूडेंट उनके लिए हॉस्टल के अंदर सीट नहीं दिया जाता है वहाँ पे जीबी के जो स्टूडेंट आ रहे वो सेल्फ बेस पे आ रहे हैं तो यहाँ आके उनके लिए जो दूसरा इशू होता है वो स्कॉलरशिप्स का होता है स्कॉलरशिप यहाँ जीबी के स्टूडेंट्स के लिए नहीं मिलता है और तीसरी बात यह है कि जहाँ पे जो सीटें हैं मुख्तलिफ पेशावर के अंदर पेशावर सलकर में बहुत सारी यूनिवर्सिटियाँ हैं इसके अंदर जो जीबी के स्टूडेंट हैं उनके लिए सीटें नहीं हैं.
The stooge administration in Gilgit-Baltistan takes direct orders from Islamabad. The ruling dispensation neither holds authority nor the empathy to take the issues at hand and serve the people of Gilgit-Baltistan. The students who came to Peshawar for education receive no support from the Gilgit-Baltistan administration. Moreover, their consistent requests for at least a few reservations in universities of Pakistan were denied flatly.
पेशावर में हमारा चौथा साल चल रहा है कोई विजिट जीबी गवर्नमेंट ने नहीं की एक दफ़ा आई थी तकरीबन 6-7 महीने पहले तो हमारे जो इश्यूज़ थे हमने उनको बता दिए एक पेज पे पूरा पेज पे लिख के जो इश्यूज़ थे मतलब यहाँ पे जीबी का स्टूडेंट फेस कर रहे थे वो दिया था हमने उन लोगों को लेकिन वहाँ जाकर उनका कोई रिस्पॉन्स ही नहीं है.
The youth aspiring to have better jobs and bring financial stability to their families in Gilgit-Baltistan are scrambling for a few seats in academic institutions in Pakistan. In such a scenario, it doesn't take much for Pakistan to indoctrinate some of these young students and convert them into armed militia against their own people in Gilgit-Baltistan.
One of the most celebrated festivals in India is that of Holi. Also known as the Festival of Colours, the occasion also marks the victory of good over evil. People smear each other in colours and sing and dance with joy to celebrate the festival. Holi in the Brij region of Uttar Pradesh is a sight to behold, where it is celebrated with immense religious fervour. Let's have a look at this year's celebrations.
Smeared in colours, thousands of people in the Brij region of Uttar Pradesh were seen grooving and dancing to the beats of folk music as they celebrated the Festival of Colors Holi. Consisting of religious towns like Mathura, Vrindavan and Barsana, the Bridge region is believed to be the birthplace of Lord Krishna, where he spent most of his childhood. In this region, Holi is a weekly affair, while in the rest of the country, it is celebrated just for one day. People from different parts of the country also throng the Bridge region during this time to celebrate the occasion.
आज जैसे होली हम मना रहे आफ्टर कोविड, वी आर एंजॉयिंग द थरोली और क्लब में तो क्या मजा ही है। देखो हम किसे रंगे रंग में रंगे हुए हैं और यहाँ पे प्रोग्राम मड पूल और रेन डांस हो रहा है। वी आर थरोली एंजॉयिंग।
Thousands of devotees gathered in the holy town of Mathura to play the Festival of Colors with laddus, a popular North Indian sweet. Devotees smeared in different colors collected laddus, danced and sang as they soaked themselves in the festive spirits. Laddu Holi marks the beginning of the festival celebrations. As part of the ritual, laddus are flung at devotees from the temple's terrace and they in turn compete with each other to catch the holy offering. It is believed that Lord Krishna visited Barsana to play Holi. While in Gokul village, men and women use chhadi to play Holi and celebrate the occasion.
हमारे ठाकुर जी छोटे थे ना, इसीलिए गोकुल में छड़ी मार होली खेली जाती है। कैसा एंजॉय हो रहा है? बहुत अच्छा। छड़ी मार इसलिए होती है कि हमारे गोपाल जी है ना, ठाकुर जी वो छोटे हैं, डंडे से मारेंगे तो लग जाएगी, इसलिए छड़ी की होली होती है।
The Holi celebration by widows at the historic Gopinath temple in Vrindavan is another beautiful tradition that challenges the age-old taboo which bars women from participating in festivals. Thousands of widows wearing white saris get covered in vibrant hues of yellow, pink and blue as the jovial women smear each other with colored powders and flowers.
बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है। आपके तो गुलाल नहीं है, अगली साल तो गुलाल भी था और यहाँ तो बिजली हो रही है, सब आनंद लेने के लिए आते हैं।
कभी आपने सोचा था कि
यहाँ पे तो फूलों की होली हो रही है, तो किसी को अच्छा, सबको अच्छा लग रहा है। ये नहीं हो रहा है, ऐसे नहीं हो रहा है, किसी के ऐसे नहीं हो रहा है।
हम सभी होली मना रहे हैं, बच्चे से लेकर बड़े तक। तो सिर्फ विधवाओं को क्यों नहीं, हमें उन्हें अलग से ट्रीट नहीं करना चाहिए। Everybody has right to celebrate.
Another unique and bizarre manner of celebrating Holi is observed in Varanasi city of Uttar Pradesh, where devotees gather at Ganga river bank and smear fire ashes on each other. It is believed that the tradition of the festival started when Shiva played Holi with fire ashes with his aides to celebrate the return of his wife goddess Parvati.
ये हर जगह से सबसे अनोखी होली है। यहाँ पे आप कहीं पे भी नहीं देखेंगे पूरे भारतवर्ष या पूरे विश्व में कि शमशान घाट पे होली खेली जाती है। बनारस की अपने आप की होली है। यहाँ पे हर जगह से लोग आते हैं, चिता से भस्म निकाल के जलते हुए चिताओं के साथ भी खेला जाता है। जो लोग दाह संस्कार के लिए आते हैं उनके साथ भी खेला जाता है और कोई किसी भी प्रकार का भेदभाव नहीं, कोई किसी से भी बुरा नहीं, कुछ भी नहीं मानता है।
बहुत ही भव्य रूप से भस्म और चिता भस्म की होली महाशमशान में यहाँ बनाई जाती है और हर साल ये परंपरा चलती हुई आ रही है। हम सब भक्तजन यहाँ पे हर साल एक बार इस इंतजार करते हैं ताकि यहाँ पे होली खेल पाए।
Celebrated at the onset of spring, Holi holds a great mythological importance that is triumph of good over evil. It is also associated with the eternal love of Krishna and his consort Radha and a riot of colors.
It's time for me to wrap up today's episode. We'll be back next week at the same time. This is Shivangi Mishra, signing off on the behalf of the entire production team of South Asia Today. Goodbye and take care.